Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Parker, and thank you so much for tuning into this video. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe and leave a like on this video, as the support is greatly appreciated. And before we get into this, I just want to say that I want to try to do these position overviews all before players start to get cut in the preseason. Just so I can show all the depth, all the starters, all the depth position players, and players that could be added to the practice squad. And this week is cornerbacks, so make sure to comment down below what position group you would like me to do next for the Denver Broncos. Obviously, as that's my favorite team, so that's the team we're going to be deep diving into today. And before we get this video started, as always, I want to remind you that Jesus is King, and I hope you give your life to Him and believe that He died on the cross for your sins, and you'll go to heaven. I truly believe God is putting this video out there for you, so I can share this message for you, so hopefully you can turn to Jesus and be saved and join me in heaven. And thank you so much, and let's jump into this. So currently on the Broncos depth chart in the preseason and training camp, we currently have 11 corners. Those being Kyle Fuller, Bryce Callahan, Patrick Surtain II, Ronald Darby, Michael Ojemudia, Essang Bassey, Kerry Vincent Jr., Duke Dawson, Parnell Motley, Nate Hairston, and McCain III. Now, let's jump into each corner specifically, because this is a solid group. It's very top heavy. Four solid, I'd say, five cornerbacks I feel comfortable with, and then 6 and 7, and then five solid cornerbacks I'd feel comfortable with starting, and then the rest I do like as depth. Now let's jump into this. Obviously, cornerback 1 is Kyle Fuller. Obviously, he plays cornerback, weighs 194 pounds. He stands 5'11". He has 7 years of experience, and he came out of Virginia Tech. And his role on the team is he's going to be the Broncos' #1 corner, hands down. He's one of the best corners in the NFL. And yeah, he's going to be shadowing the opposing team's wide receiver #1. So wherever that wide receiver goes, he's going to follow. So I suspect in Week 1 versus the Giants, he will be shadowing Kenny Golladay. When we face the Jags, he'll probably be shadowing DJ Chark. Sorry. Then Week 3. Against the Jets, I suspect he'll probably be covering Corey Davis, and then so on, so forth. And then when it gets to the Chiefs, it's going to be a little harder, but I suspect he'll probably cover Tyreek Hill. Maybe him and Bryce Callahan will share difficulties or share that with him, and Justin Simmons will help. But we'll get into that maybe a little bit later with the safety positions. But yeah, he'll be the #1 receiver. He's going to be covering all those #1 receivers. We're going to be going up against a solid group of receivers this year. So, I suspect when we play the Chargers, he'll be on Keenan Allen. If we were playing the Cardinals, I'd just expect him to be on DeAndre Hopkins. If we're playing the Titans, Julio Jones, etc., etc. You know what I mean? But he's going to be our #1 corner, and he's a solid corner. He's a very good cornerback, and he's been doing it for obviously 7 years. And I'm excited to watch him play in the orange and blue. I guess the Broncos orange and blue, not the Bears orange and blue. Next, in the slots, I have Bryce Callahan, and I have him listed as cornerback #2 because a lot of people PFF, I believe, have had him as the 34th best player in the NFL, and I think he was the best slot corner according to them. And he weighs 188 pounds, stands 5'9". He has 5 years of experience in the NFL, coming out of Rice, and he's best utilized as the slot corner, and he'll be covering a bunch of the opposing team's slot wide receivers. So I suspect if maybe Tyreek Hill lines up in the slot, I do suspect Bryce Callahan will be covering him. Or if Tyreek Hill lines up on the outside, I expect him to be covering Mecole Hardman. But yeah, he can be switched to an outside corner. I would still feel comfortable with him playing outside, but I do think he's best utilized in the slot. And as I said earlier, he gets a lot of recognition as the best slot cornerback in football, and I see why. And, I do think he will be the starting slot corner, and I do have him ranked as the number 2 cornerback right now. Now, my number 3 cornerback, you can switch 3 and 4, but to me, it is going to be Patrick Surtain, the second cornerback from Alabama, our rookie. He's 202 pounds, stands 6'2". Obviously, he's the rookie out of Alabama, and I'm so excited to watch him play this year. This is why the main reason why I did cornerbacks as the first position group, just because I'm so excited to see Patrick Surtain play. He will most likely be covering the team's number 2 wide receiver on the outside, but I could also see him covering the opponent's tight ends, because in our division, look at the tight ends we have to go up against: Travis Kelce and Darren Waller, 2 of the best tight ends in all of football, 2 of the top 3 tight ends in all of football, and we've really been susceptible playing against tight ends. We haven't been too great playing against them. I think they've done a lot of damage to us, so I could see Patrick Surtain playing and covering against a tight end, a really good tight end if he needs to. He's a very big corner. He's very physical, but he's also got the speed. So if you need him to play in the slot, he can. Now, in my draft preview, I said, he shouldn't play in the slot, and I still do agree. I don't think he should, but he can if you need him to. But he is best utilized as an outside boundary cornerback. Now it's the number 4 corner. That's going to be Ronald Darby. Shout out to McManus Design for this jersey swap. Go follow him on Instagram. I follow him. He's a goat. But yeah, weighing in 193 pounds, standing 5'11". He has 6 years of experience coming out of Florida State. I believe before the Broncos, he came to us from the Washington football team. I believe before that he was on the Eagles and Bills. I don't think he was on any more teams, but to me, I think he'll be the 4th cornerback on our roster, and this is not a bad cornerback to have as your number 4 corner on your roster. Now, when they have those empty backfields and 4 receivers, he's going to be out there, and I do think he will cover either the opponent's number 2 or number 3 receiver, depending on where he lines up. I think he'll be a very solid corner. He doesn't really fit Fangio's scheme is the thing, so that's why I don't have him starting. I do have Patrick Surtain beating him out. And, but Ronald Darby, he will be a starter. I think he signed, a 4-year contract? 3 or 4-year contract with us this offseason. And, with Kyle Fuller on their 1-year deal, will we bring him back? Hopefully. But if not, he'll be a starter with Surtain, so we'll have to see. But I do think Darby is going to be a very solid number 4 position, and that's a really good top 4 corners that we got going on there. Next up, we have Michael Ojemudia coming into his 2nd year. He's switching his number to number 13 because KJ Hamler switched from 13 to 1. But anyway, weighing in at 200 pounds, standing 6'1". He has 1-year experience. That was last year, coming out of Iowa. He will be the 5th corner. Now, he was a starter early in his rookie season, and after a decent season where I was surprised and I thought he looked really, really good, Ojemudia will have the chance to learn under Kyle Fuller and Patrick Surtain, and Bryce Callahan, and he will also get the chance to learn from Patrick Surtain, who is already, there's been reports that he doesn't look like a rookie. He looks like a veteran out there, and yeah, he'll be able to learn from him and gain experience, and then potentially it would be sorry about that. It'll potentially be Ojemudia and Surtain as our starting cornerbacks in the future once, obviously, Kyle Fuller gets up there in age. He's getting up there in age, so he might retire soon. He might not re-sign with us next year, all that. And yeah, I do really like Ojemudia. Our 3rd-round draft pick last year, but I do want him to learn and develop a little bit more because he got burnt sometimes last season, and so I do think he has a little bit more developing that he can do. Next up, we have Essang Bassey, who was another rookie cornerback last year. Weighing in at 190 pounds, standing 5'10", coming out of Wake Forest. He had a surprising rookie season, and he really surprised me last year. After making the team as an undrafted free agent, Bassey is going to provide great depth. Like, these top 6 corners we have, I really think are really good. Obviously, Bassey and Ojemudia are still young, learning players. You got Kyle Fuller, Bryce Callahan, and Ronald Darby as the veterans. Patrick Surtain. I mean, I think he's going to be a great corner. He's going to provide great depth, and we won't have a problem with all the injuries like we had last year for our corners. And yeah, he will have the chance to be the backup slot cornerback, in my opinion, behind Bryce Callahan. But he will have some competition, and that is in rookie cornerback Kerry Vincent Jr. out of LSU, standing 5'10", 185 pounds. He used to be a track star, and he's got some elite speed. He will provide a he will be a solid slot cornerback, and I do think him and Bassey will compete as to who will get the backup slot cornerback job. Either way, I do think they'll both be slot corners, and I do think Vincent might see some playing time. But if he doesn't win, if he doesn't win the backup slot cornerback role, I don't see him getting too much playing time outside of the preseason. But that's what the preseason is for, is to evaluate this stuff. And I'm excited to watch Kerry Vincent Jr. because even if he doesn't play and we don't get to see a lot of him this year, obviously 7th round pick, he's on that 4-year contract. He's still got a couple more years to prove himself and ball out. So I'm excited for this pick. I loved it. I thought he fell so much in this draft, and we got a steal in the 7th round. So Kerry Vincent Jr., watch out for him. Next up is Duke Dawson, someone who I think he tore his ACL last year. But yeah, he's a cornerback weighing 198 pounds, standing 5'10". He has 2 years of experience coming out of Florida, and he'll provide solid depth in the cornerback group. That's all I really got to say about these guys. They'll provide solid depth. You know, when we traded from him from the Patriots, I was really excited. I was like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna be good. And you know, he hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been, obviously, what the Patriots thought he was gonna be, spending their 2nd round pick on him a couple years ago. And you know, now I do think he's gonna be a solid depth corner. And will he might not even make the team. You know, I hope he does, because I think he'll provide a solid backup. He'll provide solid depth. But you know, for now, yeah. Next up, we got Parnell Motley, a cornerback standing 6 foot tall exactly, weighing 175 pounds, coming out of Oklahoma with 1 year of experience. He'll also provide some depth to the cornerback room. Obviously, I believe we signed him off the 49ers practice squad last year because all of our corners seem to have gotten injured. And, you know, he was decent. I do think that, you know, I do see him as being on our practice squad this year. Probably not making the active roster. I think Duke Dawson also might make the practice squad. I don't know if he'll make the active roster. I think everyone after Kerry Vincent Jr. is at risk of being cut or making the practice squad. Next, we have Nate Hairston. And he has 4 years of experience coming out of Temple, standing 6 foot tall, weighing in at 185 pounds. Will provide solid backup, and you know, these guys are going to have to compete to see if they make the team. I don't even know if they will. They probably will make the practice squad, but you know, that's the whole point of the preseason, because you never know who's going to shine and who's going to make the roster, because there's no guarantees in football. You got to play, you got to ball out, and you got to earn your spot on the roster. And finally, we have Matt McCain III, cornerback out of North Carolina A&T. He's a rookie. He stands 6 foot tall, weighing 175 pounds, and he'll provide some backup. But shoot, I have him listed as here's the 11th corner, but maybe he goes out there and he beats someone like Duke Dawson out. Maybe someone like Kerry Vincent Jr. out, and he makes the team as an undrafted free agent, just like Essang Bassey did. So you never know, but right now, just because he was an undrafted free agent, he was an undrafted free agent. He comes from a small school like North Carolina A&T. You know, he's going to be the 11th cornerback for now, but I am excited to see all of these cornerbacks that I listed ball out and compete in the preseason. Obviously, I don't think we'll see Kyle Fuller, Ronald Darby, Bryce Callahan. I think we'll see a little bit of Patrick Surtain, but these more depth guys, Michael Ojemudia, Essang Bassey, Kerry Vincent Jr., all these guys compete for their spot. I do think I think Ojemudia will make the team. Will Essang Bassey make the team is the question. So it's going to be a bunch of competition in training camp and in the preseason, and that's what makes football so much fun. We get to evaluate and we get to see these guys. So, yeah, I'm excited. And my final thoughts, overall, I think we have a solid room with a ton of top-end talent. Kyle Fuller, Bryce Callahan, Patrick Surtain, Ronald Darby, Michael Ojemudia. I think those are our top-end talent corners, and I think Ojemudia will get better with time. And after a season like I've mentioned a lot with our corners getting hurt and being weak in the depth field because they got hurt last year, I think Vic Fangio and George Paton made sure to stockpile our corner depth. And, not to mention we have the best safety duo in all of football in Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson. And we have prospects such as Jamar Johnson and Caden Stearns backing them up. But the thing about that is, in Fangio's system, corners and safeties are, I feel, almost required to learn all corners roles and all safety roles so that if need be, they can be placed as a safety or a corner wherever the depth is needed. And that's kind of why we saw Kareem Jackson. He was a cornerback with the Texans, but when he came to the Broncos, we converted him to safety. So, I think that's the beauty of Fangio's system is you learn all the positions, and that way you have a ton of depth. So overall, I'm giving our position grade an A+. Now, you can call me biased if you're not a Broncos fan, but to me, when you get a top-end corner like Kyle Fuller being the veteran there, and then you also have Bryce Callahan, who was teammates with Kyle Fuller in Chicago, and then you get Ronald Darby, and those are three solid veteran corners. I think, obviously, Ronald Darby doesn't fit Fangio's system as well, but then you get a young rookie who there's been reports saying he doesn't look like a rookie, he looks like a veteran, and the best corner I've ever evaluated coming out of the draft on this team. I mean, that's already a great start. And then you had two corners last season who had surprising rookie seasons in Michael Ojemudia and Essang Bassey. You get a high upside corner in Kerry Vincent Jr., and then you have a bunch of depth in Duke Dawson, Mac McCain, Nate Hairston. I think that this position group has a lot of depth and a lot of potential this year. So yeah, that is my cornerback, deep dive into the position group. Let me know what position group you want to see next. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Comment what position group you want to see next. My name is Parker, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye-bye.